Nightmarionne was first introduced in the FNAF 4 Halloween expansion, where each Halloween-themed character was deemed non-canon by Scott Cawthon, except for Nightmare Balloon Boy. He's canon apparently. Then years later, Nightmarionne appeared in Ultimate Custom Night, then reappeared in the Night Terrors levels in Help Wanted as a lurking presence in Security Breach, again in Security Breach's DLC Ruin, and even in Help Wanted 2. There was supposed to be a character in Special Delivery as well. Thanks for that, Illumix. You guys are great. What's this guy's deal? Why do they keep showing up? Do they have lore significance? Or is it simply just the Freddy Nose Honk of the Steel era? I aim to answer this in the video, so sit back, relax, and enjoy what I believe is the purpose of Nightmarionne in modern FNAF and what they represent. I think it's important to note that Nightmarionne was originally a reskin of Nightmare for FNAF 4's Halloween update. This would imply the two are one and the same, or at the very least a similar entity. That entity being a creature comprised of Dark Remnant, aka Agony like Shadow Freddy. Although Scott deemed Nightmarionne as non-canon, meaning any relation Nightmarionne could have with Shadow Freddy could be thrown out the window. For this theory, however, we'll assume Nightmarionne is a similar entity to the Shadow animatronics. So what exactly is a Shadow animatronic? From Shadow Bonnie's description in the Character Encyclopedia, he is described as a being comprised of Dark Remnant. But depending on your opinion on the book's validity, we'll say that this is only a theory. If Shadow Bonnie is made from Dark Remnant, we can assume that the same can be applied to the other shadows across the franchise. We know Remnant is formed from our emotions, a memory of who a person was, negative emotions or agony being the best emotion in creating the strongest form of Remnant. Each shadow had to have been born from some event. Shadow Freddy being born from the death of the crying child, a victim of William's experiments, explaining his appearance as Nightmare in FNAF 4, feeding off the fear of each child from the experiments and Mike's dreams. Eleanor, regardless of whether you believe Stitchline Games, was formed from the MCI, while she's connected to Afton. Shadow Bonnie, accumulated from the DCI. I say accumulated because I believe the children of the DCI did not possess the toys, rather parts of the MCI are involved in their possession. Their agony accumulated as Shadow Bonnie explains why they helped the MCI children and is a guardian of FNAF AR's Remnant. If we can pinpoint where each shadow is formed, then what about Nightmarionne, if they fall into the same category? The obvious answer would be Charlie's death, the beginning of the story, as they are the fearful reflection of William's wickedness. However, FNAF 4 must happen after Charlie's death, and Nightmarionne was deemed non-canon in that game, so it can't be from Charlie's death. How about the MCI, as nothing would have formed from the event if Stitchline Games isn't canon, which I now believe is game canon. However, again, Nightmarionne was deemed non-canon in FNAF 4, and since Mike's nightmares must take place either during or after FNAF 1, they could not have formed at this point in the timeline either. So where could they? Well, Ultimate Custom Night. UCN was William Afton's nightmare-induced coma created by the vengeful spirit out of hatred and rage, with Afton experiencing death over and over again in the most excruciating ways possible. All of that negative energy could possibly create something wicked and powerful. Nightmarionne is the dark reflection of Charlie, being Afton's reflection of what he created.
I am the fearful reflection of what you have created.
All of the suffering and pain he caused in his life. The reason why the vengeful spirit created UCN in the first place, if something were to be born from the events of UCN, then a dark reflection of Charlie, the victim, and the death that started the story would be the perfect appearance for it to take. Fantastic, we've got an origin point. Why is the symbolism for them across every game past the UCN? Let's explore that. In Help Wanted 1, Nightmarionne has their own level within the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience under Night Terrors. Nightmarionne, on their own, doesn't have much importance for the game, but they say lines that they had from UCN.
I am the fearful reflection of what you have created. The nightmare is just beginning.
If Nightmarionne was formed from the agony of UCN, then them having the same lines in Help Wanted makes a lot more sense. But what would be the point of an agony creature being in the VR experience? Help Wanted is the birth of Glitchtrap, the branch of Mimic 1 which essentially became William Afton after learning about the tragedies throughout Fazbear's history. Glitchtrap is a result of Afton's legacy on the Fazbear brand, the shadow over the company, a reminder of their past. With the context of what Glitchtrap is, this explains their appearance in Princess Quest 1, a conglomeration of William Afton's atrocities, which the faces in it would represent, and why you need the memory plushes in Help Wanted 2 to vanquish Glitchtrap. Since Help Wanted 1 gave birth to Glitchtrap via Afton's legacy, and Nightmarionne is the result of his suffering from his actions, then them appearing in VR has more significance. The perfect place for them to gain strength would be in a VR game dedicated to poking fun at the ghost stories, which would lead them into latching onto Glitchtrap or influencing the Mimic 1 code in the game. With this context in mind, it explains why they appear in every other game beyond Help Wanted. Why do they appear across the Pizzaplex? Because the Mimic 1 AI or Glitchtrap branch is in the systems, which can be seen with Nightmarionne coloured wise throughout the building and the servo room. Why do the Nightmare Staffbots take the form of Nightmarionne? For the same reasons the plushies do, if not because they're more corrupted. It explains why they appear in Ruin, for the same reasons. Some form of Mimic 1 is in the systems, as Halpy is connected to the Vanny mask and the Pizzaplex network, and the Mimic having a dispute with Halpy after dealing with Mexes confirms this.
What happened to it?
With side help, I am being helped with a signal jammer. That rabbit thing won't bother you anymore.
It explains why they appear in Help Wanted 2, because again, Glitchtrap is in the network, and the Nightmarionne symbolism is in Princess Quest 4. Why Springtrap in AR shares lines from UCN, only something After would know.
I am here to claim what is left of you.
Here to claim what is left of
You will not be spared. You will not be saved.
you. You will not be spared. You will not be saved.
Let's see how many times you can be pulled apart and put back together again.
Let's see how many times you can be pulled apart. Let me put you back together, then take you apart all over again.
And why the plushies are named Nightmare Plush, because they were born from a nightmare. They are the embodiment of the nightmares and pain Afton inflicted upon so many others. After all, the collectible plush in Security Breach is in the Endo nursery, behind a door with a girl in a bed, a hospital bed I might add. And where did Afton have his nightmares? In Heracles Hospital. If this is true, then it would keep Scott's comment of Nightmarionne's canonicity for FNAF 4 true, while still being able to establish them as a canon character outside of the VR game, and explains why they appear everywhere the Mimic and Mimic 1 are. It even adds a reason for why Nightmarionne is the mascot for UCN. It's not out of the question for Nightmarionne to feed off the negative energies created by the Mimic's actions either, as other Shadow characters have done the same, with Shadow Freddy as Nightmare in FNAF 4, Shadow Bonnie in Hide and Seek, who is also heavily implied to be Eleanor in Fazbear Frights, who also feeds off the suffering of others across the Frights stories. However, there were some flaws in this interpretation. Why do the Nightmare Staffbots have In Your Dreams written on them? If Nightmarionne is connected to Glitchtrap, then why are there plushies in Ruin? Couldn't the plush's name be in reference to Nightmare, aka Shadow Freddy? Let's start with Glitchtrap being connected with Nightmarionne. I don't think the character is strictly connected with Glitchtrap, but also connected with the Mimic, given they appear throughout the Pizzaplex, and we know Halpy is the Mimic 1 program, meaning they're connected with the Mimic in general. After all, the Mimic 1 code is infected with Edwin's agony from the story of the Mimic, and well, the Mimic Endo would make a great conductor for Remnant, as we know metal is the best conductor for it. Parts of Nightmarionne could be within the Mimic, as Glitchtrap's code was in the Mimic Endo, as it was Bone Trap up before the DLC. After all, Mimic, despite possibly no longer having their Glitchtrap variant, Nightmarionne could still gain power from a robot who still inflicts great suffering upon anyone it sees, break the limbs and heads of all the endoskeletons, or depending if you believe the PQ4 ending in Help Wanted 2 to be canon, taking place during the event of Ruin, meaning Glitchtrap would still exist during Ruin. What about Nightmarionne's connections with Shadow Freddy? After all, if Nightmarionne is Shadow Freddy, then it would make the statement of Nightmarionne not being canon still relevant, as they would be the same character. Well, one form of Shadow Freddy / Nightmare isn't canon. It might be because he hasn't manifested as Nightmarionne yet. The Nightmarionne plush being called Nightmare has other less convoluted explanations for its name. Nightmarionne replaces Nightmare, which further backs up they are the same entity, and the door could just be another hint towards Fazbear replicating the After Nightmare experiments. Now let's discuss the Nightmare staff bots. While my explanation for them looking as such is because they are further corrupted by Nightmarionne's agony, which could also explain their jumpscare sound, including Nightmarionne's jumpscare sound effect. However, the In Your Dreams message doesn't really add up with this interpretation. An explanation for it lining up is that some shadows are associated with nightmares, with Nightmare being the final boss of FNAF 4, possibly stemming from Crying Child's negative emotions and Mike's guilt in his dreams. Shadow Bonnie first appeared on Toby after his nightmare where they were attached to his back. Then upon waking up, he notices his shadow, and then later on in the story, they show up again in another nightmare of his. Whilst Shadow Bonnie doesn't grow in strength from his dreams, he grows in power from Toby's rage. The character does show up in his nightmares, while being a weak explanation. Nightmarionne being a shadow and somewhat connected to dreams is why the message is on the staff bots. If this is true, we could connect the character to a nightmare. Well, as I believe, Cassie's dad is Jeremy from Help Wanted 1, the first of Glitchtrap's victims, while testing the VR game, started suffering from nightmares in tape 7.
Jeremy complained of nightmares when he came in this morning. He wasn't talking about it like someone telling a friend about his dreams though. He was pale. Looked like he hadn't eaten in days.
This could work if it wasn't for the fact Vanessa and Gregory don't have any signs of having nightmares either, so this interpretation is weak in my opinion. Unless... Where do we find a name for the nightmare plush? In the nursery, with Moon's Moondrop ads scattered around the place, which is designed to put you to sleep, a place where the endos are taught right from wrong as they have the Mimic 1 AI running through their systems. Why wouldn't this door in some way connect with the endos as well? If the other door does, why should this one be different? And lastly, upon opening the present, the endo in the same room activates, potentially linking Nightmarionne as an agony creature to the Mimic systems. Link this with the FNAF 4 bedsheets placed on a hospital bed associating the two games associated with nightmares together, and I think this is a fair case for associating Nightmarionne with dreams. Though the endo activating upon opening the gift could just be a game design choice, as every time you interact with the doors, some endos activate. For this door, the endo is behind the door and could only really activate after you've had the chance to collect the collectible. Another interpretation for In Your Dreams is from Entom, where he posited that Nightmarionne is the accumulation of Jeremy's guilt from his past, from the Bites of 83, taking the form of the puppet as he might have been Jeremy Fitzgerald, the Night Guard in FNAF 2. Nightmarionne is a reminder of his past actions, forever haunting him, explaining Nightmarionne's presence in all of the games he appears in and why In Your Dreams is written on the staff bots. After all, Jeremy Fitzgerald felt as though something followed him home in the survival logbook. Calling back to FNAF 4's trailer, it's an excellent theory of which I'll have in the description, though I do have an issue with this interpretation. If Nightmarionne is a reminder of Jeremy's past, then why would Gregory, Vanessa, and Cassie see symbolism for them in each of their respective stories? Maybe it festered, but to me, it wouldn't make much sense for random people besides Cassie, as he is her father, to see the symbol for his guilt around their environments. But anyway, that's my interpretation for Nightmarionne, and how it could explain why Glitchtrap adopts William's iconic line, and why UCN lines are repeated in Help Wanted and Special Delivery. I think it offers a satisfying reason for Glitchtrap's usage of information only Afton would know without being Afton himself. And that's what makes Glitchtrap so cool to me. He is the embodiment of Afton's legacy and how it can influence people and the world around them. But let me know what you think. Agree or disagree? Feel free to share down in the comments. And if you enjoyed, consider subscribing and liking for more FNAF content in the future. I also have a Twitter you could follow me on if you would like. Thanks for watching and enjoy your day/evening. Then again, one of Nightmare Balloon Boy's lines from UCN is used in the story Pressure.
There just isn't room in here for both of us.